I was saying, it's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and we're coming with a big-time Washington Commanders draft update a day before the draft. We are literally, like 28 hours away from knowing what pick we're making. I mean, you never know. The Chicago Bears may end up using up the entire clock for absolutely no reason. So just kind of give a few minutes of like leeway of, room for error as far as that calculation goes, but just know we are very close to knowing who we will take. So I wanted to give y'all another big update on a lot of draft rumors centered around the Washington Commanders. Not just rumors, but some interesting reports as well, because Jayden Daniels had an interview recently and he said that it would be a blessing to play for the Washington Commanders, and basically that he wants to go as high in the draft as possible. That is his priority. We're going to talk about his love for the Raiders, but how he also feels about the Commanders as well. Also, we're hearing reports that multiple teams are trying to trade up for offensive tackle right now, and why that's actually a bad thing for the Washington Commanders. And then we have a lot more reports after that. It's a lot going on right now. Things are heating up. Again, we're very close to the draft. It's tomorrow night, and I will be live streaming that. But before we get into all of these reports and rumors, because it's a nice mix of both, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned because I'm keeping y'all updated on everything Commanders. I'm coming out with videos non-stop. I'm going to be live streaming rounds 1 through 5. So that's day 1 round 1, day 2 rounds 2 and 3, and day 3 rounds 4 and 5 at least. And I will be breaking down and even predicting every pick, because I'm a Commanders fan, but I'm also just a big time football fan. I follow these guys as high school recruits, watch them go all the way to the college level, and then watch them go from college to the NFL. So a lot of these guys that will be going to other NFL teams, I've been big fans of theirs for years. So I will be analyzing everything going on. This, of course, is going to be a lot of Commander stuff, but it's also going to just be a general breakdown and analysis of every pick that's going down in these upcoming rounds, not just the Commanders. And also make sure you follow the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the TikTok, everything, man. And without further ado, instead of wasting more of y'all time, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get it. Adam. And I feel like the main reason people probably pulled up to this video are for the things that Jayden Daniels said earlier today, the most notable ones. Because while in Detroit today with Drake May helping to support the Special Olympics, Jayden Daniels was surrounded by a lot of reporters at some point in time and asked a bunch of questions, of course. And one reporter even said and asked, quote, "There's speculation that you may not want to go to Washington. Do you want to squash that?" unquote. And Jayden Daniels said exactly, quote, "I'm blessed to go wherever I'm called. Whoever calls my phone when the commissioner gets up there and says my name, I'll be blessed, and they're going to get my all," unquote. And you expect him to say that answer. So he was basically just kind of keeping it political, keeping it very plain and surface. That was his first answer. But then another reporter later asked him straight up, like got straight to the point, quote, "To clarify, would you be okay with being drafted by Washington?" unquote. And JD said, quote, "Yeah, 100%, unquote. And of course, I already knew that he would be perfectly fine with playing for the Commanders and everything like that. But it's still nice that a reporter just straight up asked him directly about Washington specifically, especially with all of the ambiguity out here and all of the rumors running rampant about after the infamous Top Golf Gate from a week ago. Now, I'm not saying that he prefers to go to Washington over the Raiders. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that it doesn't matter even if he does. Like I've said in several videos before, if it's that serious, he would have pulled an Eli Manning by now. Like, we wouldn't be the day before the draft still wondering if he likes us or not, and then he's still coming out here saying that he does. Eli Manning was straightforward. It's amazing to me to this day that Eli Manning isn't seen more of like a diva or a villain, because the way people treat Caleb Williams, he didn't even pull at Eli Manning. Eli Manning straight up said, "You better not draft me because I don't want to come there. Pass me up and let me go to the team I prefer to go, which is the Giants." And I feel like that would have been put in motion way sooner than it is right now for Jayden Daniels the day before the draft. And also, like I've been saying in other videos, he's not going to sabotage his own career out of spite no matter where he gets drafted. Like, even as a worst case scenario, we take him, I'm pretty sure he's going to do everything in his power to ball out for, if anything, just if you want to be as selfish as possible, ball out for yourself at least. So there's literally was never anything to worry about, in my opinion, here, but you just never know. And then you also have Charles Davis. He even spoke about it from an NFL insider point of view. He said earlier today, quote, "Everybody has a place they like to play. We all grew up with favorite teams. There's no John Elway, Eli Manning situation we're hearing about right now from behind the scenes. I just don't see that," unquote. So on the football side of things, people are not hearing about a potential Eli Manning situation. And then I also agree with my dog Josh Taylor when he tweeted, Jayden Daniels would rather play with a coach he personally knows really well, back from their time at Arizona State together. Antonio Pierce was his defensive coordinator back there before he transferred to LSU and before Antonio Pierce became the head coach for the Raiders. Would you want to go to a concert with your best friend, or let me pick a stranger to go with you? And then point number 2, he just wants to play in the NFL. People have to cut this whole he doesn't want to be in Washington nonsense. And I completely agree with Josh Taylor right there. Of course, make sure you follow him on Twitter, subscribe to him on YouTube, everywhere. That's a great follow right there for the Commanders. And even moving past that, at some point in all of this interviewing that was going on at the event that Drake May and Jayden Daniels were at in Detroit, he was even asked about his familiarity with Cliff Kingsbury's system. And he basically said that he's excited to play in Cliff Kingsbury's system because of all of the really productive quarterbacks that have come from it because of this system. And even name dropped a bunch of them. He listed a few of the guys. So he's very familiar with Cliff Kingsbury's system. He even mentioned that he's been familiar with the system even going back to years ago when he was still at Arizona State, when he was monitoring him coaching on the West Coast and things like that. So hey man, this guy seems pretty excited about the Washington Commanders, if you ask me. I think just in general, he has a very nonchalant personality. But like I already said a few minutes ago, worst case scenario, he's not going to sabotage his own career no matter where he prefers to get drafted. And he even said it himself. He wants to get drafted as high as possible. He's competitive. He won the Heisman. Now he wants to go as soon as possible in the draft as well. And then also moving on, Daniel Jeremiah had a really interesting report on Twitter. He said, quote, "To summarize my last 5 phone calls in a row, everyone is moving up for an offensive tackle." And I'm not surprised, me personally, but that is terrible news for the Washington Commanders right now. If everybody's trying to trade up for tackles, then it's going to be even harder for us to do it than I originally thought. Those teams sitting in between 15 and the 25th picks in the first round can now charge like an arm and a leg because they know there's a high demand to land there and get one of the top tackles remaining. So boy, that value, if anything, is going to be even higher for what teams ask, especially specifically for the Commanders in return to move up from the second round all the way back up into the first to get a tackle. If everybody's trying to do it, that means we're just going to be out here outbidding each other and the price is just going to keep rising and rising and rising. And I hate that, which makes it less likely that we are to do it. Now, y'all already know my favorite tackle to trade up for and get is my dog, Georgia offensive tackle Amarius Mims. And I've already given y'all all kinds of crazy facts about him and his ceiling and things like that. Already did a full-blown film session on him a few days ago, so go check that out if you haven't. But let me also add another random fact about him to help you understand how rare this guy is, just in case. Georgia offensive tackle Amarius Mims had the largest wingspan at this year's combine out of any player there, no matter position, at 86 3/4 inch arms, only a 1/4 inch smaller than that of 2-time NBA MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. And also, like I've already told y'all before, just to run this one back because I just feel like not enough people have heard this. I even tweeted this out earlier today. Offensive tackle Amarius Mims is in the 97th percentile in wingspan with, again, 86 3/4 inch arms as far as the NFL goes. He's in the 97th percentile as far as the NFL goes in hand size with 11 1/4. He's 95th in percentile in arm length at 36 1/8. 94th percentile in weight at 340 and 91st percentile in height at 6'7 3/4, basically 6'8". And at nearly 6'8", 340 pounds. He also has less than 11% body fat. Come on, dog. Please find a way to get him to Commanders. Please, I don't care what it takes. Also, speaking of offensive linemen, Lance Zierlein said that he talked to a lot of NFL teams these past few weeks and got this information back. That they basically see Joe Alt as a left tackle or a right tackle. Fawanga is like a left tackle, right tackle, or guard. Fontenot can play left tackle, right tackle, or guard. Barton is a center or a guard. J.C. Latham is a right tackle or a guard. Fashanu is a left tackle or a right tackle. Tyler Guyton is a left tackle or a right tackle. Amarius Mims just only a right tackle. JPJ is seen as a center or a guard. And Morgan is seen as a left tackle or a guard. And of course, I disagree with the Mims projection. I think he has elite tools to be a starting left tackle. I think he has all pro tackle potential. But I'm mainly telling y'all this Lance breakdown of the tackle class based on how NFL teams are viewing these guys, because that means that Amarius Mims may fall way further down than expected, just simply because of perceived positional value of only being able to play right tackle. Everybody else we listed had at least 2 positions they can play. At least they said, okay, right tackle, maybe guard, maybe center guard, maybe left tackle and right tackle. Amarius Mims was the only one that only had 1 possible projection. It seems like most NFL teams, if not all NFL teams, only see him as a right tackle right now. And remember, the Commanders brought him in for a top 30 visit, so there's clearly some strong interest there, whether they see him as a right tackle or a left tackle. And again, if the majority of the NFL sees him as purely as a right tackle, he will fall lower than the guys that they see as potential left tackles. It's just positional value, so that sounds like great news for me. And even if it's not just Mims himself, I'm very sure our immediate pick after quarterback, second overall, will be offensive tackle. Whether it's in the first round or 36th overall in the second round, I'm very, very sure it will be tackle. Because out of the 29 confirmed top visits that the Commanders had, the top 30 visits where they bring prospects to Ashburn and all that type of stuff, and most of them came during that same few day span where we had the Top Golf event and things like that. 4 of them were quarterbacks and 9 were offensive tackles. So between quarterback and offensive tackle alone, they were 13 of the 29 visits just by themselves. And tackle was the most visited position group out of all of the positions, again with 9. And that makes sense because they pretty much narrowed down the list on the quarterback options for second overall. They only have 4 potential candidates there. But there's a lot of interesting tackle options out there, whether you want to trade up into the first to get one or wait till 36. So it makes sense, but it's just clear as day that we're going to tackle after quarterback second overall. The only question is when and where, what round, what pick, all of that type of stuff. And there's also some really interesting data that Adam Schefter tweeted out earlier today as well. This was super random, but very interesting. He tweeted, ESPN content producer Paul Hembo calculated the percentage of first round picks that hit or miss based upon whether that player signed a second contract with the team that drafted him. That's the only way we're basing it. We're not taking a look at any stats, any like all pros, pro bowlers, Super Bowl rings, nothing. Just purely, did that guy end up signing a second contract with the team that drafted him? The data encompasses that through 20 drafts spanning from 2000 to 2019. Here are the positional hit rates right here. And if you're looking at it, center is by far the most successful hit rate at 92%, but then tackle is second at 59%, guard is third at 50%, so it seems like offensive linemen are the safest picks in the first round. Then there's linebacker, then quarterback is higher than I expected, then edge rusher, but then again, quarterback, again, this is based on who signed a second contract, and people will give a second contract to a quarterback that hasn't even necessarily been that great, because it's like, man, we wasted this first round pick on him, we at least got to give him another chance. So that maybe messes up the data just a little bit to make it a little less trustworthy. But either way, then it's edge rusher, then it's defensive tackle, then it's corner, then it's running back, then it's safety, then it's tight end, and then wide receiver is dead last. But again, with the way that this data was put together, you also got to look at it from the fact that teams prefer to just draft another receiver second, third round, maybe even first round, rather than paying that receiver that they've had for the past 3 years balling out for them to a big time contract. Why not just go ahead and get another receiver that can end up being just as good, that's younger, and have him on a rookie deal rather than paying that other receiver $20+ million a year. So I feel like the data is a little skewed in certain ways, like I've talked about, and we can talk about that for every position group in this chart. But I did want to point out the fact that it looks like tackle is the second safest position to select in the first round. So that may increase the Commanders' desire, knowing that, because we're a very analytics-based franchise right now. Josh Harris made sure that was a thing by hiring Eugene Shin and bringing in all of these analytics guys from left and right, Lance Newmark, all of these people. Even though Adam Peters is a purely football guy, we have a lot of analytics guys in the building. I'm quite sure they know this data, or they may even have their own charting of it and may not even necessarily refer to this one specifically. But either way, it looks like offensive tackle is the second safest position to take in the first round. So why wait until the second? Go ahead and trade up into the first to make sure that you have almost a 60% chance of hitting on that pick, which is extremely high for a draft pick, no matter what round, no matter what position. So I can see us potentially doing that just simply because of data like that. Even if it's not necessarily that specific chart that they're referring to, they probably have some other data that's very relevant to that, very close to that. And also, before we get up out of here, Walter Football has a rumor tracker for every NFL team. And here's just some loose Commanders rumors real quick. Maybe none of these are true, who knows? But there was a report from Charlie Campbell. He said that it sounds like the consensus within the Redskins organization is that Jayden Daniels is the preferred choice at number 2 overall. Then you have a report from Ian Rappaport that says Jayden Daniels has an interest in playing elsewhere besides Washington. Then you also have a report from Pretty Ricky, an NFL insider, that said Daniels is a 100% lock at number 2 overall. Then you have Ken Johannesson, my boy at Hogshaven. He said the Redskins have significant interest in Roman Wilson. I already gave y'all that update, shouted out Ken Johannesson in another video. Make sure you stay tuned for that, because that's very interesting. That Roman Wilson thing, definitely keep your ears up for that one. Quite likely to be the receiver we take the highest out of any other receiver in this draft, in our draft class specifically. Also, the Commanders are going all in on a quarterback and are turning down trade offers for the number 2 pick, according to Charlie Campbell. And then according to, Ballsack Sports is a super duper troll parody account. Let's just go ahead and get this out the way. But they, for some reason, tweet, I don't even know why Walter Football even has this in this draft rumor tracker, but they said new owner Josh Harris is rumored to prefer JJ McCarthy while executives prefer Drake May. Again, don't believe in any of that because that came from Ballsack Sports, but since it's there, I still wanted to read that to you. And then also Tony Pauline from Sportskeeda said Jordan Morgan will not get past the Commanders in the early second round. So if he's still there by our 36th pick, our very first pick of the 2 picks we have in the second round, and we did not trade up for a tackle in the first round, expect Jordan Morgan to pretty much be an automatic lock there. He will not make it past us. And then Mike Sando of The Athletic said the Commanders are really into Drake May. So, hey man, do with those rumors as you want to yourself. Like I always say, man, I'm just giving you all of the information, and I want y'all to come away with your own conclusions. I'm not trying to sway y'all either way. I'm not trying to say any agenda. I'm reporting on every bit of information that I have at my disposal that's readily available for all of y'all on the internet. I don't have any inside sources or anything like that. I'm just giving you all of the information. I'll give my opinions here and there, but of course, I want you to take all of this information that I give y'all in these videos, especially these rumors and reports videos, come away with your own conclusions. That's my main point of this. But who knows what to believe of any of those rumors. But I did just want to give y'all what some of the whispers going around the NFL right now, according to Walter Football and Charlie Campbell and those guys over there. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Stay tuned because I'm working on my next mock draft. I just did, I guess last night, technically early this morning, my final, what I want the Washington Commanders to do 7-round mock drafts. And I have 2 trades in that mock draft as well. I traded up into the first round for a tackle and traded back into the 3rd round to get more 3rd round picks. So make sure you go look at that mock draft. And then lastly, sometime tonight or early tomorrow morning, I will come out with my final predictive mock draft where I try to guess what the Commanders will do. Not what I want them to do, not what I feel like they should do, what they will do. I'm gonna try to get as many picks correct as possible, but it's really hard because who knows if we will end up trading up for a tackle in the first round. And even if we do, where will we do it to and who will it be? So this is a very hard draft to predict right now. I mean, because even if you try to track Adam Peters' drafts in the past with the 49ers or even the Broncos, it's still not enough of a pattern for you to truly know exactly what his draft strategy is coming in here. And then even if you did have a pattern for the 49ers, what could you do with that, him coming to the Commanders in a completely different situation? So who knows? He found a franchise quarterback in the 7th round for them. We're taking quarterback 2nd overall. It's the complete opposite. Who knows, man? It's really hard to guess, but I'm going to try to do my best. It's going to be based off of reported interest in guys like Roman Wilson and also the top 30 visits, the guys that we were interested in enough to bring in the limited amount of visits we have every offseason. We brought these guys in to meet with them in person all the way to Ashburn, flew them out and all of that. So that draft is going to be based on that. I'm also going to include a lot of undrafted free agents that the Commanders are apparently interested in as well. So I'm going to try to get as many names as right as possible, and y'all can make sure after the draft to go back and see how many I got right, how many I got wrong. So yeah, man, stay tuned for all of the content. And of course, I will be live streaming the entire draft, like I already said, rounds 1 through 5 at least. And I will be predicting and analyzing every single pick, not even just for the Commanders, but all 32 NFL teams, because I just love this stuff. I love the draft process. I love film sessions, all of that type of stuff, watching all 22, high school to college, college to NFL. That's all me, recruiting, draft, everything. And also, speaking of film sessions, I will be doing breakdowns of every pick, weaknesses, strengths, team fit, comps, ceiling, floor, everything for every single player that the Washington Commanders draft. And then after that, later on down the line, before we get to training camp, I'll be doing film sessions for each player. So know that I will be doing at least 2 videos for each player that the Commanders bring in and draft. And if there's like a really notable undrafted free agent, if I have time, I will try to get to those guys as well. So make sure you stay tuned. So much content on the way. I really appreciate y'all. Make sure you go on my channel and set your reminders for all of the live streams I have coming. I'm doing a live stream this evening, a call-in show, so make sure you pull up for that. Without further ado, let's get it, man. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.